I'm Charles Robertson. I'm a photographer here in Zebulon. This is a retrospective show of several prints taken from 1982 to this month that are on the wall now here in Town Hall in Zebulon. And I'd like to thank the town of Zebulon for their opportunity to show at this place. It's a good location for photographs or artwork for display. I also like to thank the Zebulon Downtown Arts Council, which promotes it and promotes artists throughout the area. These images are going from my darkroom days, which I started my own darkroom back in 1975, and I kept that for 30 years. 2008 and 2009, I switched over to digital, and for commercial reasons, but also to learn more about the digital image, which I've been using and still do to this day. When I was young, I was a hunter, and I thought I would, rather than going out and just hunting as I was getting older, and when I was 18, I sold my 30-30 Marlin rifle and bought my first SLR film camera and started getting into photography then. Well, there are several types of photography, but naturally photography was invented back in 1839, and from there it was already known as a art of the sciences, and so today in the digital world it's kind of going through a rebirth of that also. Most of my early years were doing in the darkroom with film, and so it was more of a process then. At this time I have digital cameras which do the same thing, because the main issue is to get the image, and like the image on the wall is most important to me. So any way I get to that and can express myself through those means is what photography is today. I worked as a commercial photographer and did weddings and all, and a few years ago I helped a young couple and photographed their wedding with my digital camera, and I was shocked just to think of how much of a chance you took when you had the film days, because you shot expecting everything to work perfectly and you hoped it did. And you were if you were a pro, you made it work. But at the same time now, it's so easy. I can double check the shot and reshoot the shot and make sure it's correct, and especially when you expose it. So digital has really changed a lot of things and all that, which I think is for the better. Well, the Arts Council wanted me to do a show. We're now having it where you can go for 3 months within the town hall, and they provide us, the town of Zebulon is providing the space, and so this is due to two things. One is to communicate the fact that we are doing it for visual arts. The Arts Council also sponsors other arts, any other art, from any other art you want to. We can have any way we can support you, we will. At this time I have two images that side by side in this show. This image was back in the film days, in the darkroom work. I printed this for show and for exhibition back in 1982. It's of the now Village District. It was Cameron Village at the time. But like all things, when you capture it on film, you're saving the time. So it's kind of like a time capsule at this time, I've got this image. With this image is one I shot it's a still life. I shot in an old shed that has wonderful light coming in from one window. And I could take and arrange things at that time, which this was done in April when all the leaves and all are starting to come out and are fresh. And so I kind of made a still life of just the natural leaves and the wild plants that are around my home. This image also won the Best in Show at the NC State Fair that year, which it won Best Photography and Art that year, which was a good time, because that was doing some real changes in my photography and all, and this was kind of giving me some validation. That's why I recommend people enter competitions, so you can validate what you're seeing with people that are professionals that can judge, such as the images and all. Okay, I have two of my images. One is of my grandchildren on July 31st, back about 4 years ago. It was one of those days like today in which it's 100 degrees and humid, and I have the tobacco field and the swing, and they were doing the best to cool off at that time. So you transport that to pretty much a landscape portrait, to this is a still life in which I manufactured just a few weeks ago. I made this image around the 1st or 2nd of June, and so I wanted to print it because it had some meaning to me. And one thing about still life is not only what you have in the image, it's what you leave out sometimes. So you have to get the right balance, and sometimes, just like in nature, photography, you're looking for the balance, not just the symmetrical, asymmetrical. You're looking at a certain balance to get to the image to express yourself. What I have now is two images that are in comparison. One is the darkroom image, and the other is the digital image. This darkroom image was made in 1989 during a snowstorm. It was the only frame I had left in my camera back in the film days, because I'd been photographing all day. I only had one shot left, and I thought I had overexposed this image. So I went out and came in, and I was upset because I thought there's no way it's going to be a printable image. And when I developed it the next morning in the darkroom, it turned out to be one of my better images, and negative. This image here is one of my early still lifes in which I combine things. Yeah, this still life was one of my early still lifes, which was also in the Rocky Mount show, their open show, a multimedia show, in which I have everything from a skeleton of a garter snake to wasp nest and bird's nest, combined with some rocks from out in the garden area. Currently, I have work in the Cary mixed media show in Cary, North Carolina, which is up and will be taken down the end of September. I also have a image that's in the Rocky Mountain multimedia show, which won first place in the art competition there. And so this show will have an opening on September the 4th. That's a Thursday night, from 5:30 until 7 o'clock. And we'll have refreshments, and you can meet and talk with other artists in the art here at the mall, and you can see the location, especially if you're looking to maybe contact the Arts Council and see about having a show yourself if you're an artist. I was also fortunate enough, for 30 years I had a mentor that I would show my work to as I was developing it and trying to see what I could enter into shows and all. And struck up a friendship with Nona Short, which was a Latin professor at Meredith College that became famous for starting their photography studio there. She was an excellent photographer, winner of many awards. We had countless hours talking about photography and the arts, and she was always a supporter, and at the same time, she didn't mind telling me on many occasions when I was going in the wrong direction. So I do recommend, if you're starting in something, find someone that you can trust that will give you their honest opinion, and that'll always, and then if you're lucky enough to have a friendship, then you can only win from that kind of environment.